Remember how the Action 5 Pro struggled with night noise and close-up focus? Yeah, Action 6 actually takes those complaints seriously. And that is the part that grabbed me first. Most action cameras fix one little thing with each new version, a tiny bump in sharpness here, a small tweak to stabilization there, and that is it. But with Action 6, the changes stack on top of each other. When you put Action 6 next to Action 5 Pro, you feel the difference before you even hit record. This is not going to be a dry spec lecture. Instead of dumping numbers on you, I want to walk through what each upgrade actually does in real life. How your footage looks on screen, how the camera behaves in your hand, how your workflow changes when you sit down to edit, and as you watch, you will see side-by-side clips that show the differences in a way words alone cannot. Let us start with the heart of the camera, the sensor. Action 5 Pro used a 1/1.3-inch sensor. It was already bigger than what most action cameras were using. Action 6 goes to a 1/1.1-inch square sensor, and that square shape is a big deal, because now you are not forced to decide horizontal or vertical before you start filming. You shoot once, and later you can crop to 16:9 for YouTube, 9:16 for shorts and reels, 4:3, even 1:1, without throwing away resolution. As you watch the framing comparisons, pay attention to the edges. On Action 5 Pro, when you try to turn a horizontal clip into a vertical one, the bottom and top feel cramped and you lose useful detail. On Action 6, the square readout keeps the whole frame usable. No dead black bars, no mushy edges, no "I wish I had mounted it vertically" regret. For creators who post to more than one platform, that alone can save entire shoot days. Now let us move into low light, because this is where people were the most disappointed with Action 4 and Action 5. In dim streets, under weak lamps, Action 5 Pro did its best, but shadows turned into grainy soup, textures smeared, and skin tones slid around. With Action 6, the bigger square sensor, the brighter f2.0 aperture, and the new low-light processing finally come together in a way that feels solid. Look at the night side by side. On the 5 Pro, walls and pavements look flat and noisy. On Action 6, you can actually see the texture of the bricks, the pattern on the road, the details in shop signs. Faces keep their color instead of going orange or gray. The difference is not subtle. It is the first time a DJI action camera looks comfortable outside at night, instead of something you use only because you had no other choice. The main reason this works so well is that Action 6 does not just have a bigger sensor, it also introduces variable aperture from f2.0 up to f4.0. That is something you normally hear in bigger cameras, not action cams, but here it genuinely changes how you shoot. At f2.0, the camera gathers more light, so night footage looks brighter without pushing the ISO into a noisy mess. At f4.0, you get cleaner highlights and more control under harsh sunlight. That is where those starburst effects around streetlights come from, and they actually look tasteful instead of fake. You can walk through a night city, stop down to f4, and lights turn into sharp little stars around cars and signs. It looks like something from a much larger camera. Watch the day comparison when the camera faces bright skies and reflective buildings. On Action 5 Pro, you will notice the sky clips quickly and the scene can shift slightly blue or washed out. On Action 6, when the aperture closes toward f4, the sky holds shape, the edges of clouds are visible, and skin tones remain correct. You are not fighting blown highlights in every frame. You are just filming and getting something closer to what your eyes saw. Now, let us talk about close focusing, because this was one of the pain points people kept mentioning with Action 4 and Action 5. On Action 5 Pro, you needed roughly 35 centimeters between the lens and your subject to get a sharp face or object. Anything closer, and it started to look soft and muddy. Action 6 behaves differently. Stopping down to around f4 brings the minimum distance closer to about 20 centimeters. And once you put on the new macro lens, you can go into around 11 centimeters. As you watch the macro comparison, look at the fine details. On Action 5 Pro, a flower or a piece of food looks slightly flat and out of focus when you move in close. On Action 6 with the macro lens, the tiny lines, edges, and textures suddenly pop. Backgrounds fall slightly out of focus, giving that subtle separation that you usually do not expect from an action cam. It is not full-frame cinema, but for a tiny rugged camera, it is surprisingly pleasing. And just to clear it up, that macro lens does not screw onto the old housing of Action 5 Pro. The front element on Action 6 is larger, and the accessory is built around that. In well-lit daytime scenes, Action 5 Pro was already good enough for a lot of people. Colors were decent and dynamic range was respectable. But when you put it side by side with Action 6, you start to see where the new camera pulls ahead. Against a bright sky with dark foreground, Action 6 holds a little more detail in both places at the same time. The sky does not go chalky white as quickly. The shadows do not lose as much structure. You can see that especially in scenes with trees against bright skies or metal railings catching the sun. Now we should talk stabilization, because that is one of the main reasons people buy these cameras in the first place. Action 5 Pro already had very strong electronic stabilization. Running, biking, or handheld walking was absolutely usable. Action 6 pushes that further, but more importantly, it changes the feel of the movement. When you watch the biking or running footage side by side, pay attention to the small vibrations in the ground. On Action 5 Pro, some micro jitter is still visible if the surface is rough. On Action 6, those micro shakes are smoothed out while the scene still feels grounded. It is less floaty and less robotic, which is important. You get smooth footage without that strange gliding over jelly look. Horizon lock has also become more confident. With Action 6, when you twist and roll the camera, the horizon line stays level longer and recovers more naturally. You will notice that especially in helmet mount or chest mount shots. Action 6 also adds a 2x lossless zoom based on the large sensor area. This is not the same as the digital zoom we see on older cameras. Here, the crop still maintains 4K level detail. In practice, that means if you are vlogging while walking, you can tap in and frame your face tighter without pushing your arm farther away. Or, if you are filming a subject from a bike or a car, you can punch in without physically moving closer. Now, battery. Both Action 5 Pro and Action 6 use batteries rated around 1,950 mAh. On paper, they look the same. In practice, Action 6 gives you slightly better stability in cold weather and more consistent long recordings. The more impressive part is not the total runtime, but how it handles charging. With fast charging, you can go from empty to around 80% in about 22 minutes and fully charge in under an hour. When you are traveling or shooting all day, that matters a lot more than an extra few minutes of peak runtime. Underwater, the difference between the two generations is bigger than you might expect. With Action 5 Pro, you almost always wanted to fix the underwater color later. Footage leaned green or dull, and skin tones did not look healthy. Action 6 uses a built-in color temperature sensor and calculates underwater color more intelligently. When you compare them underwater, you will notice that blues look much more natural on Action 6, and people do not turn into greenish ghosts. If you do a lot of snorkeling, diving, or even shallow water sports, that one upgrade alone might make you smile. Audio is another area where Action 6 feels more creator-focused. It can connect directly to two DJI mic transmitters at the same time without needing a separate receiver on top of the camera. So you can run a two-person interview, or capture your voice with one mic and ambient sound with the other. At the same time, the camera can still record backup audio from its internal microphones. If you have ever lost wireless audio before, you know how comforting that backup track is. The accessory story is also important. Action 6 supports the new macro lens, the ultra-wide adapter that takes the field of view out to around 182 degrees, and the updated dual-sided magnetic quick-release mount. At the same time, it plays nicely with most of the existing Osmo Action ecosystem from Action 3, Action 4, and Action 5 Pro, along with the Osmo 360 and Nano series mounts. So unlike some companies that reset everything with every generation, DJI is building a system layer by layer. On the color side, Action 6 adds film-style picture profiles inside the camera. There are 6 cinematic looks that you can apply with adjustable intensity. If you are the type of creator who does not want to spend hours color grading every clip, You can set a look you like and shoot straight into something that feels more finished. Now, let us answer the question everyone secretly has in their head. Should you upgrade? If you already own Action 5 Pro and you mostly shoot daytime biking, hiking, or family trips in good light, you do not have to upgrade. The 5 Pro is still very good for that kind of work. But if you care about night performance, macro, underwater color, more natural stabilization, framing flexibility for multiple platforms, and easier audio, then Action 6 is not just a small step. You will feel the difference every single time you press record. And here is where it gets really interesting. If you are still on Action 4 and you skipped Action 5 Pro because it did not look like a huge jump, now is the moment. Going from Action 4 to Action 6 is a massive leap. You get a bigger, smarter sensor, real night performance, the square format with multi-aspect cropping, the variable aperture, much better stabilization feel, better underwater color, macro options, and a more complete accessory and audio ecosystem. You will see and feel the upgrade in pretty much every area. So, who is Action 6 really for? If you are a creator posting to YouTube, Shorts, Reels, and other platforms at the same time, the square sensor and crop flexibility are a huge win. If you shoot a lot at night, the low light performance and variable aperture are worth it. If you like experimenting, the macro lens, ultra-wide adapter, and film profiles give you more tools to play with. If you just want one small camera that can travel anywhere and handle most situations without drama, this is probably the most complete version of DJI's Action line so far. If you want to check availability and pricing when the global launch rolls out, I will drop an affiliate link in the description as soon as it is live. Use it if you want to support the channel at no extra cost. Do you see Action 6 as a true upgrade or as a smarter redesign with better marketing? Watch the side-by-sides, think about how you actually shoot, and tell me in the comments what you would do. Would you stay on Action 5 Pro, jump from Action 4 to 6, or grab this as your first action camera? Case closed, for now.